Guys, so this is a very different sounding video. Don't worry, my new microphone is fine. It is just that at the time of recording this audio, I am currently not in my normal setup, and the inspiration bug just hit me, and I started writing my notes down on my little, if you can hear it on this mic, my little paper ASMR notebook here because I always carry notebooks with me to write down thoughts and ideas when I want to do these kind of things. And this just really hit me. And then I realized, oh shit! Even though I have like backup audio and backup footage, and I had original video that was gonna go up today, I felt like since a lot of people are doing their New Year, New Me resolution-y videos, and I've already done that a couple months ago. I felt like I should get this out there for people who are looking more towards newer things because, again, if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Michi. I draw art and I also do story times and rambles and random audio word vomit like I'm doing right now of advice and experiences that when I was younger I wish I had been told, taught, or listened to. And I've actually had a lot of nice people that tell me that because of my videos and the advice and my stories that they were able to help themselves out a lot, and that's kind of what makes it all worth it for me. But that's also why, and I'm also very fucking cold. So if I sound a little sick or nasally on top of the bad mic, I'm just making excuses, aren't I? But that's all why. And so it pretty much it's I don't exactly know what I'm gonna title the video right now, but it's pretty much getting toxic people out of your life. And I'm sure, there's a bazillion videos out there that you can watch where people talk about it and do things on it and they give advice and stuff. But I want to share my experiences on it. And this is more toxic people in the artist field, specifically if you're doing this as a career. If you're a hobbyist and you just do it for fun, or you have another job or a career or whatever, and you just do art to like relax and chill and it's a hobby, this video isn't exactly for you. I mean, you can still listen to it and hopefully get advice to just cut bad people out of your lives, but I've really noticed it more and more since my business and my brand has started to kick off. In the grand scheme of things, I am still extremely small compared to many people out there. But I am growing at a very fast rate, which I'm very proud of and I'm very happy of, and it's because of people like you, but because of that, I'm noticing more and more jealous, envious, and toxic people that were in my life and no longer because I've cut them out. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people, it's hard, but they really need to do. And I'm gonna give some context into my life and past, which is where all of my videos come from. They come from research and personal experiences. But when I was younger, and I've talked about this on my channel and live streams and stuff, I was extremely ostracized and bullied as a kid. I had a lot of terrible things happen when I was younger, and if it wasn't for my amazing family, I would not be here right now. But I was one of the people where I went from having no friends to having a shit ton of friends in high school. I wouldn't say I was popular, but like we found this like nerdy outcast group, but there was a lot of us in this group. And at the time, like I said, I went from having almost no friends to now having like 20. And I was so happy to not be alone anymore that I kept a lot of these toxic people in my life for a lot longer than I should have. Which is why, like, when I talk about videos and I talk about ex-friends, I've had a couple people be like, wow, you must run through friends a lot for you to, like, have all these stories. And it's like, not that it happened a lot, it's just that as I got older, a lot of us drifted apart. A lot of us are like, why the fuck are we friends? Not even in a mean way, it's just like we only ever hung out when we were hanging out with other people. We never really like talked outside of those instances. We never like went to birthdays, planned things, have a lot in common. It was one of those just weird. A buddy of mine called it like acquaintances, you know, where it's like you think you're friends because you see them all the time, but you're not really friends. And there's a really good saying out there, and I'm gonna probably butcher it, but it goes something along the lines of, you know, a lot of people who are very successful surround themselves around successful people. And I think that's a very good quote, but it what the quote actually means, and this is something that took me a long time to understand, because I took it as, well, how am I gonna find successful people? I'm not successful, I'm a piece of trash, and you know, how am I supposed to do that? And you don't want to be either. You don't want to be the one non-successful friend in a group full of successful friends, because that also makes you feel bad. And you know, it's not exactly successful people. It's more so people who the only way I can word it in my own way is that they've grown up. You know, they know what they want, they're going after it, and I'm not talking about the people who were victims of circumstance, had terrible shit happen to them, or something out of their control happened, because there are exceptions to every rule. But as I got older, I noticed that more and more people in my life were making excuses for things. And myself, I was not an exception to this rule. There was a time in my really early 20s. I'm 26 now. So for some people it might not seem like that long ago, but for me it feels like a fucking decade. It doesn't feel like 6 years ago. It feels like I was back in high school, you know, where I would come up with excuses for things. I would procrastinate. I would do blah blah blah. And then when real life hit me in the face, I'm like, "Wow, this is what real issues are. Holy shit. Oh, little Michi, you thought those were issues. Those were not. Oh, you thought those were your friends. They were not. They were not. No, they weren't. They were using you." Now, as a lot of people know, I love pimping people out. That's what I like calling it, you know? I love being a pimp. I love networking. I love helping people that I feel have great work ethic. I like supporting people who work hard and deserve it, cuz you know, I didn't really have that, but I kind of did. For the longest time, you know, me and all my friends were all in the same thing, but because one person that was higher than me gave me a chance, it really opened my eyes to a whole new world and whole new possibilities, and even this career path. um Not so much YouTube, but more so just being self-employed as a possibility, was because of one person who believed in me and gave me a chance and helped me see a whole new world of possibilities. You know, and it can be so hard to cut people out of your life, especially if they've been there for a long time. Because there was this one friend I had where they had always thought they were better than everybody else. Like, it was something that all of my friends knew about. We always talked about behind their back, because they would say shit that would upset all of us. Because they would demean all of us. It wasn't just me, wasn't just Cody. It was all of their friends. They were the kind of person that couldn't take blame for anything. You know, they would openly talk down to people if they weren't as educated as them. You know, oh, if you didn't attempt to learn a second language, you were a fucking pleb. It was really, really stupid stuff to belittle people for. But they'd always do it. And I remember asking myself as time went on, like, why was I friends with this person? Yes, I had some fun times with them, but they were so minute compared to the myriad of times that they had attacked us. They had hurt us, they had belittled us. And it was so funny that this person had such a high horse about themselves when they weren't in any way at the time successful. You know, I once had a friend, back when Code and I were in a really, really bad place, where, you know, I didn't talk to this friend a lot. And it was just because their life was very busy. and I didn't understand why. I was like, "Oh, you're the only one of our friends who has their own place, has a brand new car, you have your shit together, your parents aren't paying for anything, like, you are fully self-sufficient." And I remember being like, "Why don't we hang out anymore? Why don't we do this and that? No, 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 no." And blah, 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 blah. And, my friend wouldn't, I would, in my mind, I took it as excuses. And so did our other friends. Like, "Oh, yeah, we only see so and so like once a year." But then, like, as I grew up and I became self sufficient, I realized that, yeah, you don't have a lot of time to just dick around when you have responsibilities. You can't just drop everything at a hat and go hang out with friends like you did in high school. You can't do that, especially if you want to be successful. Um I consider myself very much a workaholic, but I love my work, so it's not too terrible. But I also have found a balance between, like, okay, I need to break, and okay, I need to get deadlines done. And that was something that my friend and I had talked about once when I hung out with them. It wasn't that they didn't want to hang out with people, it's that they had told me personally, they're like, "It's not that I don't wanna hang out with you, because I do, but I wanna hang out with just you and Cody or just a couple of other friends." Because they're like, "I can't be around those people anymore, because they're so negative, there's nothing going on in their lives, it's the same shit over and over again." Which is why, I'm making it a pact for 2019 that, unless something extremely drastic happens, I am going to do my best to, like, not talk about family issues like I had on this channel in the past in 2018, because 2018 was such a fucky year. Just because, you know, now that we're free and we're okay and everything's, going the way it should be, I don't see a point. I mean, I'll probably still bitch about it in streams here and again when I'm with friends and stuff, but I'm not gonna, like, dedicate whole things to it, obviously. But my friend was talking about it, and I had never really had that realization until my friend pointed it out. Where it's like, he was bringing up a good point. He's like, "I worked so hard to be where I am now," and he still works very, very hard. And he's like, "But it's kind of upsetting, when you work really, really hard and the couple days you have off or you have to relax, you want to hang out with friends. And then you go hang out with friends to have a good time, and they just end up bringing you down. They just end up, it's one of those, like, oh, oh, a perfect example is, I'll use us right now. As a lot of you guys know, we were fucking homeless for a month last year, where we literally, if it wasn't for the gratitude and the graciousness of a couple of family members, we would have literally no idea where we would have been living before we got our apartment. And we were told 3 days before stuff was happening that we were homeless. We had almost no time, you know, and I realized that once we had gotten our place and gotten our wedding and everything, because it all happened in the course of a month, when things started to calm down a bit for us, we started to, like, settle in, we were budgeting, getting used to things. The couple days that I could afford to go out and hang out with friends, because, again, we moved to a whole new place. We not that we, like, had people pay for stuff before, but it was one of those, like, okay, I'm in a new place. I got to learn how to budget more, because I'm paying for more than what I was used to. And then when I would go hang out with some of my friends, I would be telling them, like, good news, like, "Oh, I'm getting sales on my store," or, "This is doing well, like, we have savings again," or like, "Oh, we got to actually go out and see a movie," and just things were going really well. And then it'd be like, "Oh, what's up with you?" It's like, "Oh, nothing." It's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, nothing. Same old, same old. They would pull out this depressive stuff, or this, like, or money issues, which, don't get me wrong, I bitched about money a lot too when I was in a bad place. But I remember being like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry," and I felt very bad, and I I felt selfish for feeling bad on my couple of days off that I could go out and do stuff. I felt bad because I was feeling good. I was feeling stress free. And there were other people in my life that weren't doing well, that were having issues. And I've always been a very empathetic person, but I started noticing that I had to cut those people out. I really did. Because a half of the time, a lot of their issues were because of themselves. It wasn't because of other people. Like, I had one friend who really just had terrible luck. Their partner had just gotten a really good job, and for medical reasons, because of an accident, they can't get a normal job, so they're in a pretty shitty situation. But, like, right when their partner got this job, they got sick, and really sick. And so they just got this new job, and now they were forced on sick leave, unpaid sick leave, because they just got the job. So now my friend, who literally can't work a full-time job because of an accident, was struggling really hard and having a really hard time. And when I hung out with them and they were bitching about their issues, that made sense to me because I had been there. I had been in that, I mean, not in that exact situation, but that wasn't fair. That was a terrible circumstance, and that is more than a reason to vent about your issues, try to help them out, do what you can, and cheer your friends up. On the same note, I had another friend who was having financial issues. And I remember being like, oh, well, what's going on? And again, in the back of my head, I'm thinking about my issues, my other friends' issues, pretty realistic issues for, having some financial problems. And because finances are something to stress out about. And they were being like, yeah, well, blah, 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 I can't pay my rent, and I don't know what I'm gonna do because I'm still X amount of age, and I'm living with my parents, and having na. And I'm like, okay, well, do you still have a Disneyland pass? And they were like, yeah, why? I have to have some fun. And I'm like, well, you know, if it's the same pass you bought before, that's $1,000 a year going to fucking Disneyland that could be going to things in your life. Like, bills and food. And $1,000 a year for some people might not seem like a lot, but for other people, that is a lot of money. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, or it's like, oh, but on your Instagram, you were going out to eat when you had no money to do so. Or you were complaining on Facebook about not having money to do this. And then on Twitter, I see you bought yourself a brand new video game, and it's like, well, you gotta treat yourself sometimes. And I'm like, no, I get that. But it's hard for me to try to relate to you when you're talking about financial issues, and then you're buying frivolous stuff you do not need. And, back to the friend that I had that was very arrogant. They had such a high horse about themselves, and they thought that they were, oh, I deserve to be making 50 an hour because of everything that I've done and all the knowledge I know, and da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, well, you didn't finish school. See, yeah, you know a lot, but so do a lot of people on the internet. You have the nerve to belittle my husband, because we weren't married at the time, but to belittle my husband for having a finger quote blue collar job when we now make enough to live on our own because of that blue collar job. And here you are working part time, minimum wage at a retail store. Why do you have such a high horse about yourself when you're still living at home, working part time, not going to school, and you're wondering why you're not going anywhere and why you're having an arrogance about you? And I'm not belittling retail workers. I've done retail. I have family who do retail, who made it into a living. And it is hard, but it is doable. And I'm not looking down on people who do that. But you shouldn't have such an arrogance about yourself to belittle other people because of their success, to try to bring them down to your level. And I've never been able to understand that. I've never been able to understand people who could not let other people succeed. Now, do I get envious and jealous? Of course I fucking do. I'm human. But I've never been like, why are they there and I'm not there? My art's better than theirs, so why is that fair? Like, there are artists who are a lot, more popular than myself, who I do personally feel that, like, my art skills are higher than theirs. Does that mean that I'm angry that they are more popular than me? No, because maybe they're better at networking than me. Maybe they do something better than I do. Maybe they just did it at the right time and got lucky. I've never once been like, "Oh my god. What the fuck? How is it this person who uses Crayola colored pencils and Sharpies better than this other person who makes giant illustrations every day?" I've not been that person. Have I had catty moments and bitched to my friends about other artists online? Yes. But a lot of people do that. A lot of people can be catty and bitch. Just because I bitch doesn't mean I want people to lose their success. I don't feel like me bitching about somebody and me personally not supporting somebody is ever okay to go and be like, I hate this person, and here's why you should hate this person. I don't support this person, and this is why you shouldn't support that person. I've never been like that. I've had beef with a couple artists who really didn't like me, and this was a long time ago, but they were also commission artists, and I stopped commissioning them. I don't think they ever commissioned me, but I did have some friends commission them, find out about the beef that happened between us, and then be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "I don't care that you commission them. They're a good artist. I don't like them personally, and I don't want to support them, but do I want them to crash and burn and fail? No. That's a terrible thing to want to wish for somebody. If someone else is making it, that's great. If that other person doesn't fucking like me, then fine. I don't have to like them. And they don't have to like me. That's just the world. You don't have to have everybody like you. You don't have to like everybody. You know, I don't like that, like, "Oh, well, you're an artist. You should support this." And I'm like, "Well, I don't. But am I stopping you from doing that? No, I'm not." And when you want to surround yourself around successful people to be successful yourself, it's not just that they're successful, it's that they are putting themselves in a more positive mind space to do better. They're doing things to better themselves to be successful. They're not letting themselves sit in their squalor and just, have a pity party and then wonder why there are people who are in their fucking 40s not doing anything with their life and blaming their parents for it. I have had friends who have made my childhood look like a walk in the park, who make my childhood look like a privileged sunshine and daisies one, and yet they came out fine. Then there's other people who I know who've had extremely privileged lives who's doing nothing with them. I've known people who they they never had to pay for debt. They never had to pay for their schooling. They never had to pay for a car, rent, food, anything. They never once had to worry about having a roof over their head or a meal in their stomach. For the longest time, I never had to worry about that. And then that all changed and I had that experience. And ever since I had that experience, and I know my husband's had it way more times than me, it's really helped me grow to learn what's important and what isn't. Am I saying that everyone needs to have a traumatic experience? No, because I don't want that to happen to anybody. But what I'm saying is, when you see people who come from nothing and make something out of it with just hard work, determination, and a drive, that's amazing. And then you also see people who have privileges succeed as well. But you also see people who started out in the shit and believed they weren't going anywhere, so they did a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they're just not doing anything. Same goes for privileged people. I know this one person who I've never been friends with, so I know of them. It's again one of those friends of a friend situations, and they were doing nothing with their lives. They weren't going to school. They weren't working. They weren't trying to make a business. They weren't trying to do anything. And I literally had to talk to Cody because I was talking to them this person a while ago, and I remember just being fascinated by a person who literally wasn't doing anything because they were bitching about how terrible their life was. And I'm like, well, you're not doing anything to change it. You're literally not doing anything. And you are surrounding yourself with people who are just like you. So while you're having a good time in the moment, what's going to happen to your future? What's going to happen when the cash cow finally kicks the bucket? You don't know. And I've had friends that I thought were close friends come to me and tell me some really hurtful things because me and my other friends were succeeding. Because I did a convention. Because I opened an online store. Because I sell commissions. Which is things I've been doing for years. The convention and the online store, not so much, but I've had a Redbubble for years. I've been doing commissions for years. And I have worked so hard to be where I am right now. And I've been surrounding myself around people who work just as hard as I do. And I've noticed that all of us are inspiring each other and bringing each other up. I'm trying to help my friend get into merch because I had someone help me out. You know, we're lifting up, we're doing things. I have friends who are starting comics, who, I have my book coming out this year. I have other friends working on things, and we're all lifting ourselves up. And my friend group now is so small, but I've never been happier. Because while we have depressive hard times, we're not letting those hard times ruin the rest of our fucking lives. Because we want to do something with our lives. We want to do something with our success. We want to do something out there. We want to know that, god damn it, at least I fucking tried. And I'm two steps closer to my goal than I was a couple years ago. And it was all because we cut those terrible people out of our lives. We cut those negative people that weren't doing anything to change their issues. They weren't trying to help. They were hoping for other people to come help them. And I learned you got to be able to help yourself before other people can help you. And that's just, like I said, I'm very passionate, very inspired to make this right now. So I'm sorry it's not my great audio, and I'm very cold. But I really hope that with the start of this year, this video gets around and helps somebody. Because if I heard this when I was still in high school and thinking that there was no point left in trying, I probably wouldn't have fucked around as much in my earlier years. And I probably would be way more further ahead than where I am now. And it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna hurt, and you're gonna fucking cry. But you're gonna be better for it. Because I was better for it. And now I have some of the best days of my life that I didn't even think were possible. And I want that for you too. And so, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I will. See you next time. Hopefully with my better mic audio. Bleh. Bye.